from 1932 on to 1972, a span of 40 years. Now over that length of time, he knew everybody who's alive, and a lot of them are not alive now indeed. And he knew them all, they all knew him. Whatever education was got in this part of the area, it has to be attributed to him. Without him, I'm quite sure there would be a lot of illiterate people, and the people of the area owe a great deal of debt to Master O'Doherty. And here with us we have, down here we have Sister Vera, and here we have Sister Eileen. And we're going to ask them about their parents and about their own life. Both of them are nuns. They belong to the Sisters of, tell us the Sisters.
Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul.
To the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. And we'll start here now with Sister Eileen. She's closest to me. We're going to do this interview with the two of them in rotation. Just both of them will talk in their turn, and they'll be able to help us along better, I think, than if we talk them individually. So, Sister Eileen, your earliest recollections of Bruskey?
I remember Sissy Kyo's shop, which wasn't far from the school, where we used to go down to buy some sweets. And it was a four-teacher school. Mrs. Smith taught us, and Dad was in the school next door.
Then there was junior teachers.
There was a junior teacher, Miss Fitzpatrick now, which we remember very well.
She came from Garrymore.
She came from Garrymore, yes.
That's right. Well now, perhaps between the two of you, you will tell us some of the life story and style of your father and your mother as well. They came from County Donegal.
That's right, Ballyshannon, County Donegal. Dad was the son of a teacher, but unfortunately his father and mother died within 6 weeks of each other. They had been reasonably well off because I had a farm as well. But as the father and mother died, so his mother had been a teacher as well, and because they died so shortly within each other, money became a problem. And all those who had been sent to school had to be brought back. But it was the father's dying wish that my father would become a teacher. And come what may, whether they had to sell beef, some on the farm or animals on the farm, it was his wish that he could continue.
And he did become a teacher, and a very, very good one. So then your mother too, she came from Donegal. What part of Donegal did she come from?
She came from
Ballyshannon.
Ballyshannon, but it was Inver was the name of the place.
Inver.
Yeah.
And what was your mother's maiden name?
She was Gallagher.
Gallagher, good Irish name too.
Yeah, both are Donegal names.
Both are Donegal names.
She came of a big family as well. There were 13 but she was the last in the family and completely spoiled, which she had been for the rest of her life.
Well, you seem to said that, sister. And now, Sister Eileen, have you anything bad to that?
No, school wasn't a bad time at all. Sometimes we played, well no, this is going away from school, but the Sorehens were great friends of ours, and we went everywhere together. And there were, I don't know how many of them were, but there were at least 5 of them at school together with us.
Is there one of that family in none?
There is, Phyllis.
Yeah.
Phyllis was my pal, and Peggy was Vere's pal.
Yeah.
And when we asked to go to a dance or anything like that, they asked their mother and father, and if we weren't allowed or they weren't allowed, we went out in the evening and, well, we cried sore tears because we weren't allowed to go.
That would be the thing. And tell us about your father. What was his greatest hobbies? What did he mostly have? Swings.
Yeah. Well, now in Rockfield he had to clear the ground, and he was very fond of gardening, and he did an awful lot of gardening. And the field behind the house was cleared, and we grew our own vegetables there, and our own potatoes, and he loved that. And he also did quite a bit of carpentry.
Yeah, he's good at the carpentry. So then apart from that, then what other hobbies did he have apart from the work and that, such as the cards? Yeah, I believe he's a great card player.
Yeah, he was. Both Mum and Dad were fond of playing cards, but he was too. Yeah. And a lot of the neighbours from around used to come in that time.
Could you tell us some of the neighbours maybe that played cards at that time when you were living up in Rockville before you built this house here?
Penny Gorman, Tom Cho from Corr,
the Jacksons.
Yeah, and then
Billy Grimes. No, Willie.
Willie
Yeah,
Bryan.
Willie Henny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Gaffneys.
The
they-
Gaffneys.
All the
Yeah.
These were regular people.
They'd be great
yeah.
characters.
They
Yeah.
were.
Probably the Lynches.
What do you call it?
No, not so much.
not
No,
Lynches.
they didn't. But
Fran-
Tom Lynch.
Franz was the man who lived up on the hill beside Jackson's.
Galligans.
Carrigan, Jimmy
Franz-
Carrigan.
Jimmy
yeah.
Galligan.
Jimmy and Tom Galligan.
Jimmy and
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah.
They was come
Okay,
well.
that's
Yeah.
right.
And the Galligans of Cork.
Oh yeah, they had a shop up there.
That's right.
Do you ever visit Galligan's shop in Cork?
We went over to see. We used to be very great with them at one stage, and after later on, you know, when we came back again, we didn't recognise the place was standing there like it
Yeah,
used to
there's a
be.
big change in it. And most people were all gone from around it.
They
There's
were.
nobody living there anymore.
Yes.
Well, what bishop gave you confirmation?
Bishop Lyons now.
And that was in Paddy, of course.
That was in Paddy Hill, yes, yeah. And I think we had white frocks that day, and I remember that day we got 2 shillings each.
Well, 2 shillings each back in them
Oh,
years
it was
would
a
be
lot.
a considerable amount of money.
Yeah, yeah.
What way did you go about spending the 2 shillings? You get a trunk around, you get a pledge around, you went to head for Ballinya.
I remember that 2 shillings very well. We spent it very wisely because we got a very good bargain. 1 shilling was spent in buying 6 2-penny bars of prize Cadbury chocolate. And the other shilling was spent on one big bag of sweets. And we enjoyed that 2 shillings worth very much. And
Well, yeah, well, that was a grand way of spending it. And of course, you didn't get it for a while again. Once that was spent, you had to spare the sweets.
Yeah.
So, you finished then, I suppose, doing your primary cert in Bruskey School. How did you get on at that?
got on all right, and it mind you,
Both
we
of us
both
got
did
on
very
all
well.
You
Very
passed.
well. Yeah, got passed.
Well, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then, that kind of put an end to the school days at the national level when you did your primary cert.
Yeah.
Did you do 7th class in your time at school?
No, no,
You
we
went,
didn't. We were sent off to secondary
You
school.
went in. What school did you go to then when you finished?
We went to Loretto in Crumlin, or
No.
Loretto in
Cavan.
Cavan, and we were boarders there for 5 years.
That would be a dreary thing to be boarded in, I'm sure, a lonely
Well,
spot.
it
for-
had its good and its bad points, you know.
Save you the winter from driving the bikes and
Yes,
stuff.
yes. Going. Dad didn't want us to be going in wet mornings, you know, on a bicycle, you know, and getting wet and all that sort of thing.
Fair enough.
So.
We got a liking for games very much because we had money was scarce, sweets were scarce, and we hadn't much in the line of entertainment. But we loved games.
You played the camogie or
We played
whatever.
camogie and then we played for Ballinya.
Oh, very good. Any marks to show since that? Not so bad. Did you win any championships or anything in your time?
We won a few games now,
Yeah.
but nothing extraordinary.
No, you couldn't be so well developed maybe at that stage.
No.
No,
We
no.
joined, we were in the Ballinya camogie team.
Under team.
And we
And
played
you remember-
Stone.
You should remember some of the lasses played as well.
The Sorens played with us, Kathleen Duffy played with us.
Kathleen Moore, what did
Kathleen
you say?
Moore.
Kathleen Moore,
Kathleen Moore.
yeah.
One of his Patrick's.
Eileen, or one of them. I know that
Uh,
Miss Tanya. Yeah. There were 2 girls, but maybe more.
Yeah.
I only know one of them. There's another one, I think. She's married to Crotty, I think. I think that's the girl who played the camogie.
Yeah.
Both of them played it as well,
Yeah.
as far as I know. So you enjoyed the camogie and
We
all
did,
that,
we
in my
loved
opinion.
camogie.
You did your 5 years there, and then after that then you were going to do a bit more schooling, right? So going to take up your own profession at Young's, and tell us then, when you finished in the Loretta, how did you
Well,
pass out to that?
We wanted to earn a bit of money and
Absolutely.
we wanted good jobs. So we were sent with a lot of inconvenience to Mum and Dad to a commercial college in Dublin run by the Loretta nuns. And but neither of us liked it, but that was the very turning point in our whole year, or
Yeah.
our whole existence
Yeah, I
really.
know, yeah.
Because at that time was part of the program there to make a retreat, and we met this Father Maguire who started talking to us about having a vocation. I think probably spoke to all the girls about it, but the more I tried to tell him I didn't want to be a nun, the more he kept trying to convince me that I seemed to be a good candidate, and I just didn't want to hear tell of it, you know. And then to make matters worse, Eileen had been thinking about the same thing, but we didn't tell each other about it. And so
You went home then, because it was going to be Loretto
Yeah.
that we were going to join. So Dear went home, she went into Loretto and Cavan, told the nuns there, And they said, not at all. So in the heat of the moment, you know, and they just, every schoolgirl makes things like that,
Yeah.
go right back to school again. So she was sent back to Crumlin again. So when she came back, I told her that night, and she kind of sensed that I had also made up my mind. So then when it came to Easter, we decided that there's no good in going back to this college anymore, because we both decided to make up our mind. What we hadn't decided to tell Dad and Mum just yet.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to ask you. Well, how did they react? Were they overjoyed or were they cautious? Or what? Did they give advice or anything when they
They
did?
were heartbroken, really.
They were shocked, you know.
Yeah.
But they said that they wouldn't stand in our way.
Well, that was the right thing. They didn't force, they didn't
No.
push
Oh,
no.
no.
But Dad was very insistent that I would go back and talk to the Reverend Mother in Cavan about it again.
And did you?
I did. I went back and she said it was only a notion I had.
Who was that person?
She was
Mother Evangelist? or
no,
was it?
Mother Loyola.
Oh, Loyola,
Mother Loyola. Yeah. And,
Well, did you see the day after when you both of you were?
yeah. Well, when she heard that we really intended going ahead with it, she asked me to come down to Loretto and talk to the girls and tell the girls something about it. And they actually got the same priest in two Cavan that we had in Loretto, in Crumlin. And he gave them a retreat, and from that retreat my best friend, Sister Mairead MacDonald from Shercock, joined the Loretto Order.
And then you went off and joined the...
We joined off, we joined the Daughter of Charity, because if we joined the Loretto Order we had no option except to teach. Neither of us were too keen in the teaching, even though we should have been, but we weren't too keen.
Yeah.
And we were told, as things turned out, we ended up all being teachers.
When you got professed and you came back to England, where were you sent then, Sister Vera?
I was sent back to Dublin to St. Vincent's in Avon Road, which was a huge big institute for mentally retarded children, as it was called at the time, and it held 600 of these children. I was given a group of 50 to look after. I had no younger children.
You didn't have any previous experience to this?
No.
It must have been a terrible big ordeal to try to cope with that type of work.
It was, because didn't know how to deal with smaller children and to start off with. And I was expected to do everything for them, get them up out of bed, dressed and take them to school, teach them after school to supervise their evening meals and put them to bed again at night. And I wasn't very efficient, and it was decided that that was not the job for me. So I was only kept at that for 6 months.
Well, very good. It's at least a little big experience for yourself.
Yeah.
You spent 6 months. Well, after then the 6 months is over, and where did you head from then?
They decided then that as I seemed to be fairly good using my hands, that perhaps I should train as a home economics teacher. So I was sent to Sign Hill after doing my usual exams, and I qualified in Sign Hill in 1957.
In Dublin?
In Dublin,
Yeah.
yes. And I was sent from there to start my first proper teaching job in Dunmanway in County Cork.
That's in West Cork.
That's right.
And you wouldn't be a real stranger there. You've met my teacher, Master McCarthy, and sure, he was from Dunmanway as well.
He was. Master McCarthy actually came to see me when I was in Dunmanway.
Yeah, that would be his home place. He always told us about Dunmanway. It seemed to be an important place. And so it was as far as he was concerned.
Yes.
Anyway, well, maybe you could tell us something at all when you were in Dunmanway. Take the teaching then.
I used to teach cooking, sewing and craft work, and I liked it very much. I liked to see the girls. The girls were actually post-leaving cert standard, and some of the others would be girls who would have dropped out in their secondary school education, wouldn't have continued, and they would be sent as well.
So you spent 18 more years in Cork, and then when you finished up there...
I had an option then of either teaching with travelling people or teaching with the handicapped.
Who did you choose?
I decided I'd manage the handicapped a wee bit better.
I think I'd agree with you. I don't think many people would say you took a bad choice.
No.
So
we don't refer to them any longer as mentally retarded, but they have a mental difficulty or a handicap, as we call it.
Speech and the rest.
Yes, their speech problems, and they've been known as moderates.
Yeah.
Now, I work now with them in a sheltered employment where we do tapestries, which we copy our designs directly from the Book of Kells, and we sell to very many shops all over Ireland, and we also sell in England, Japan and America.
And that's very good indeed. And how long are you there?
I'm there now about 9 years.
And you're quite happy there?
I'm very happy there, yes.
And that's very good. Well, I think that is a fair description of how you spent this part of your life so far, and you're still fresh, very nice young person. And now we turn to Sister Eileen. You parted ways now after you were professed, finally in Paris, and you both of you were back to England, and Sister Vera was transferred, as she says, right back home to Ireland, and you, in the meantime, stayed in England.
So I was sent to the orphanage where I was given 24 boys to teach, and I didn't know the first thing about it. But considering my father was a teacher, I thought that was sufficient, you know, to...
You still had a lot to learn, though.
I still had quite a lot to learn in many different ways. So after a year there, they considered that possibly I could make a teacher, and I was sent to Coloma in Kent to train. After training in Kent, then I was sent to Salisbury, but when I was in Salisbury, I never got to see Stonehenge. No,
Why?
Stonehenge. There was always something wrong at the time when I could go. All the tourists and all the visitors could see Stonehenge. But no.
Well, you've had the benefit of the people that come to hear this tape. You'll explain what Stonehenge is.
Stonehenge is similar to a place in Ireland where there's what do you call it? Huge stone monuments. It was like the ancient graveyards here in Ireland.
Like the dolmen type of thing.
Like the dolmen, exactly, yes. Only they were colossal, and it was up there that the army lived and the Air Force children. So in Salisbury I would have had a lot of army and Air Force children, and they were quite good. And when it came to a fete or anything like that, we had to make some money to keep the convent going, because we were looking after, we had something like 30 children from parents, you know, who couldn't look after their children. Couldn't afford to pay for them, and there was no money coming in for them. So this fete was held every year. So the people of the forces children, as we call them, their parents were very good in, you know, giving anything that would help to sell.
You kind of have a sale at work type of thing. And it made a good deal of money to keep the show on the road.
It did, yes, it kept
And now, how long did you spend in Salisbury?
I spent about 9 or 10 happy years there, and of course never thought it'd been changed. So the next thing was I was told I was changed to Bristol. I didn't know the first thing about Bristol except it was the south of England. So anyway, when I got my letter back from my PP, Father McCarran, he said, "Do you know Kilmallock?"
County Cavan?
County Cavan.
Did you ever go home?
He was from Kilmallock.
He was from Kilmallock.
He was from Kilmallock. So he interviewed me, but I knew it was, you know, more or less that I had got the interview and that I was being accepted.
Yeah.
So I went down to Bristol. It was headmaster, and after the war years, a lot of people were pushed into being teachers, and they weren't qualified for the job at all. So he was a kind of a military man, and it was the discipline of the school that he looked after. But anyway, we got on well there, but it was multinational and multicoloured.
So then, after you finished 1 year in Bristol, you were transferred to Belfast.
To Belfast, yes.
And that would be...
No, I didn't start the troubles in Belfast. No.
I know you
But
didn't, but you contributed to them.
Yeah, well, I was there for a year beforehand.
Oh, you were preparing for the troubles. I know, yeah. You had to be a lot of homework done before they could be started properly.
Oh, yes, yes.
So
I learned a good bit then.
You did indeed,
Belfast,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
what part of Belfast did you were in?
Well, now, Connell Street was just a little bit from the Falls Road.
Yeah.
And no matter where you went, even in Paris, one time we took the children to, not to Paris, but to Lourdes. He was a Falls Road. You didn't have to say anything else. When the children were asked where they're from, Falls Road,
You knew it was
they knew
Belfast.
straight away.
Ah, yeah. And the accent on the north of the...
Terrible place.
Yeah, it was a hard place. But thank God you survived all the troubles so far.
We survived.
I'm quite sure you had plenty happy times in it as
Oh,
well
we had, yes, yes.
tough experience.
There were a lot of tough experiences because the troubles in Bombay Street where the houses were burnt were just behind the monastery. The monastery was back to back with Bombay Street, and our convent was just at the front of the monastery.
More or less a kind of a cockpit is or...
We were, yes, just at the edge of the danger zone.
And you spent a great number of years in Belfast.
I was about 20 years in Belfast and got to know a lot of people, but coming from Bruskey to Belfast, I discovered that the Irish people were so friendly and they would do anything for the children and always wanted to have their children nicely kept. That's not casting any aspersion in English children.
I know what you mean,
but
yeah.
It was just that friendliness there.
It's more homely. Well now, the order to both of you that you joined in wasn't allowing you to come home at all in the beginning, and it's only in 1940 you did get the permission and that was lifted. Explain that a wee bit to us.
It was after Pope John the 23rd was in Pontiff. He said, why not? Why can't religious go home to the home where they got their vocations? And of course that made all the difference to us. We were 13 years away from home before we were allowed to come home.
And what year did you get the permission that was that lifted?
Must have been 65.
Yeah. In 1965. And we came home that time, but we could sit in the car outside the front door and have tea, a tea tray, but we could not go into the house. Eventually that relaxed further, and now of course we're in the happy position that we can come home.
And that is wonderful, because you are both very much needed now. Your father, Bruskey, who's died, and your mother is at home here.
Yeah.
She'll not be able to cope without some help or other.
No.
And the fact that she has her own family makes her life much more happy and easier for her, and gives her much more ease to be able to do the job yourself. Than
And they never worried about being looked after.
Oh no. So, well, I think that now about brings us to the end of our a bit of a chat with this, and indeed it is great for the have such a conversation. And thank you both very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Seamus.
Here we are now with my father Tom Keogh, who also went to school in Carrigan from 1919 until 1929. You're welcome, Dad.
Thank you.
Dad, it's a long time since you started school in Carrigan. I'm sure you have many memories of the boys and girls who went to school with you.
Indeed I have, surely memory of some particular memories that I'd like to mention. And it's a boyfriend of a school pal of mine, which is poor man in hospital after how many years, and he was very done home. I think we've been around the one age. He was a very intelligent young man, young boy, and was well brought up. He was an only son, and he had two sisters. And he was perfectly brought up, and I think there was no one in the school who was better looked after than Mary Dunham was. When we were all barefoot and wearing clogs, Benny had a pair of fine boots on him, and dressed in a navy serge. When we were all wearing short pants and some were long pants. And I remember going barefoot to school in the month of October. And the weather gets frosty then. Around the month of October, we would be supplied with a pair of clogs. At that stage, the price of them pair of clogs was 2.16 in your money. And those clogs were going the mast. And anywhere you went, you wore the clogs. And there was what they call a hot spin in the clogs. You print them with a piece of old upper boot or a piece of rubber. And the night of that, above the chapel of a Sunday morning, people stick clapping up the chapel with clogs that know, hard spinning. You hear that rattling over the chapel. But there was no mast past that stage. But Benny Dunno, I got to Benny Dunno was my best pal friend at school. He used to oaten bread, and he sold his oaten bread at me every day in the play yard, which was not an uncommon thing to have to him. But Benny would give no one chance. It was the nicest day from bed I ever had. So there we were, enjoying our lives for a few years, because the thing was, there was no compulsory for school. And times were bad at that stage. And if you got a chance of earning a few shillings at home, a shilling a day was the run, which we used to hand and talk on. There nothing we could get to do, never mind school. But at the age of 12, the compulsory come into force. Then you had to keep at school and then you were 14. So I went back to school for 2 years. And Benny Donohoe still was there. And we left school the one time together. And our teacher at that time was Martha Martin. And we had a school full. Because to divide the school, one end was the girls and the other was the boys. And our side was completely full. So we would have an average of 45 or maybe 40, 50 children. So a few years went by, and still not the master in the man himself. So then he got engaged, I believe. I heard after to a girl from Aliwa. She was non-kind and got married. During the period of the summer holidays, he was married. And was a Father Tom McGuire, which was a curate in Bruskey. And he announced that also one Sunday after, because when we go back to school, that the master would be a married man and he would have a helper with him. And when we went to school that next morning, after summer holidays, they were all to go one by one and welcome his wife to his Carrigan school, which we did. So that's when, yes.
Thank you very much indeed, Dad. Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin.
On Inula,
Niha? Monica.
Inula, on Inula, Gemma,
Niha? Carmen Mary.
Inula, Jam,
Ribbon. Oh, Aberchi Wonga Shay. Agus shot Naberchi Wonga Kui. Shot Naberchi. All right. Now, Wonga Kaha. Fern. Foxtail. It's the meadow sweet. So we look it up in the book later. What book will we look it up in? Book of Wild Flowers. Kurmaka, Lisa. Fishes.
Sound of letter D. What sound does it make? Katie? Oh, is right. Very good. And this letter, the name of it? Clara? L is correct. And the sound of this letter? Pala. Good man. Well done, Pala. Now, can anyone give me the sound that the two letters make together? Heidi? Again?
Blood,
No, just B and L together.
blood,
Very good. Let's put a vowel with it. Can I tell you the sound of B-L-A?
black,
Good. Now make a word, B-L-A-C-K. Charlene?
black,
Correct. Could we have another word with B-L-A? Eva.
lead,
All right. Now, I'll just put a few words, see if you recognize them. B-L-A-N-E.
lamb,
B-L-A-C-K.
black,
Now, you give me a few more words with B-L-A. Longer words, perhaps. Niamh,
live,
do we have it here? Another one, Marion?
Blackboard.
Very good.
Tip. The ditch and machine push.
What's P-O-U-N?
Pull.
How long do is the Walkman? The Walkman
The
knew.
woman knew that Tim wanted to learn more about machines.